Hello everybody, Sunday morning, time for another farm update. Hope you're all having or had a decent week. I know there's been quite a bit of rain floating about the country and this latest storm with a lot of high winds. Hope no one's had any damage to buildings or sheds or houses or infrastructure, because that's not good when that happens. But we've had about 18 millimetres of rain since, I think it was since Wednesday night, which it hasn't done too much harm really. We haven't started drilling yet. We've still got waiting a bit. Another week we'll probably get going because of the blackgrass and all the weeds and generally the rubbish that's growing. And for us, blackgrass control, which I'm going to touch on quite a lot in this going forward into this update, you'll hear about that. So blackgrass control for us is really important, but I'll explain our strategy over the last few years in this update. Also, we've been emptying the local poultry farm of chicken muck. There's 6 sheds just literally across the road from us, and we've emptied that again this week with the help of one of my neighbours. So that's good to get that emptied and get that stockpiled ready to put on the fields. We've also been looking at the beans. We've harvested the Capulet beans. They're the beans that make baked beans. We've got 2 more varieties still to go, which I'd like to have had them done by now. It is a bit of a concern of me that we're getting into October now and these are late, and they should have been done in September, but they weren't ready because of the dry weather in May. They didn't really mature and materialise and grow as quick as what we wanted. So we've got the Capulet harvested. We've still got the Godiva and the Oliva to harvest yet, and hopefully we'll get those done the second half of this week. But we might have a zern machine coming that will cut the fat hen and sort of take it off. But we'll have a look at that in due course, because we're trying to just not have so much fat hen going through the combine. But we went on Thursday night. Some of us, Rhonda and I, were invited. Thanks very much, Merlo Forklifts, Merlo UK, who make telehandlers in Italy. Thank you very much for the invitation to join them on one of their tables at the Farmers Weekly Awards. And there was a whole number of us, some of us who remember went to the factory in Italy to see them being built a few weeks ago. We had a great night in London. Congratulations to all the award winners, all the various categories. Great night was had by everybody, and I know there's a lot of effort goes into it, and it's just an absolute flagship event, and just showcases how much good and just the amount of, I don't know, just everything that UK agriculture offers. And that was all epitomised in the awards on Thursday night at the Grosvenor House in London. So a few snippets from that as well. And again, as I say, thank you, Merlo, for inviting myself and Rhonda and all of us to that. And also thank you for watching the videos, because it's really thanks to you and the sort of publicity that all these get, and the interaction with everybody that allows me to do these things. So thank you for that, and thank you to everybody who subscribes to these videos and watches them. But as I say, thank you, Merlo. It was much appreciated inviting Rhonda and myself to the awards. Really had a great night. Anyway, that is it for this intro. We've got a few things going on this week. You can see behind me, we've got a trailer load of wheat here behind on the MX. With this coming week, we've got the seed going to be treated and cleaned. And I'm going on Monday, being invited to the Conservative Party conference along with some of the other farmers. Hopefully going to get started drilling this week, going to be hopefully combining the beans as well, spraying to do as well. So quite a busy, hectic week ahead. And as you know, I'll be doing most of that. So thanks ever so much for watching. Hope you all have a good week yourselves on the farm. Take care, and if you make it to the end, we'll see you then. Actually, just before we get into this update, I just wanted to touch on something I was reading when I was in Crete in one of the farming magazines about tractor registrations. And I think just really highlights the lack of confidence everybody's got that in July 2025, there were 880 tractors registered in that month, which is a 7.2% drop compared to July 24. Now, altogether in 2025, I think there's about 5,700, 5,800 tractors registered up to now in a whole year. This graph shows you the statistics and how the trends have been over the last year or two. So 5,700 or 800 up to now this year, which compared to this up to this same period in 2024 is about, I think, a 15.5%, 16% drop. So you can just see there is definitely a lack of confidence difference, and it is something that the Labour Party just don't get. That they're saying that they're going to get more income or in from tax, but they're not, because we're just not spending. People aren't spending and investing in businesses, and it's not just farming. That's all businesses, and of course there's a lot of farms for sale as well, as we know. But I just thought interesting statistics about tractor sales and registrations in the UK. Anyway, that's it for the intro. Here we go now with the update. Just driving out the back of the yard, and I think there's a whole load of partridges. I don't know whether they're English or French here. Look at that. They're English, looking at their wings. So they're grey partridge, fantastic. See where they fly to. Here they are, all in this grass here. Monday morning, just got back from Crete yesterday, and there's a couple of lovely deer in this field. This is a field next door to the sugar beet concrete storage area where we've had the chicken muck on, when we had the poultry muck fire. But this field is coming Capulet beans this next year, the baked beans. It's starting to green up now. So all the fields that are greening up now, if they're coming winter wheat and want drilling with winter wheat soon, they will be sprayed off with glyphosate, or otherwise known as Roundup, and they'll be sprayed off before we put the wheat in, and that's to kill any blackgrass and everything else off, all the other general rubbish and weeds that are there. Whereas this field I've just showed you with the deer in, and there'll be others like that that's coming a spring crop, we'll leave those for probably another 3 weeks, maybe end of October. Wait for the before the wet weather comes properly, because it will come. We all know wet weather's going to come. It's been so dry for so long, and we'll spray those off, because I don't like any fields that are coming spring crops. I don't like them going into the winter full of green. I like to have them all brown, and that was one of the ways that we dealt with our blackgrass and actually got rid of blackgrass, was making sure that every field went into Christmas with absolutely no blackgrass or rubbish showing. And this one is the same just here next to me as well. You see there, starting to show up green. I'll have a look around one or two of these in a bit later today. This is a field on the side of the A17, and you can just see there the new poultry farm is just there. There's a lorry coming out with another batch of chickens. We're collecting the muck. Where's it gone? There. That's Moy Park, heading off up to Ruskington with the chickens, and we are collecting the muck from here tomorrow. I've got somebody helping me. We'll have a look around one or two of these other fields that we're going to be coming winter wheat, and just see actually how much blackgrass is growing, because as you saw from that field a second ago, they are starting to green up now with the rains we've had. Because while we're in Crete, Saturday night into Sunday morning, we had 14 millimetres of rain here. So that will have done some good, and especially with the sugar beet, because we want to be lifting some sugar beet fairly soon, and it will help the sugar beet no end, that will. And the trouble with sugar beet lifting it early like this is it does put a lot of weight on in October and November, but we have to balance that with actually being able to get the sugar beet out the ground in good conditions, and then being able to drill it with winter wheat, because all our sugar beet on the heavy ground will be planted with winter wheat. So we're going to have to sacrifice some of the of the sugar beet yield that will happen now it's rained, in able to get the field worked and planted with winter wheat. So we're bringing all the loads into here to be weighed before taking them back out onto the beet pad where we're tipping. So this is just following the trailer now down to where we're going to tip it. This is just down the A17. Looks quite light, dry stuff again this time. Yeah, it is nice, good dry stuff that. There'll be a lot of nutrients in this with it being a bit drier. So just turned in now off the A17, heading down to the poultry farm. Grass verges are finally starting to grow. And that's our field on the left there that we're renting from George and his family who own this farm. We're going to have spring barley in that field for another 4 or 5 years, I think, because it didn't have a crop in it for 3 years. We used to farm it, and then it got, with having no crop in it, got a lot of blackgrass in it, and so we are. I'll just have a look here. There's nobody waiting to come out, and let's just have a look. Yeah, the grass is starting to grow nicely. Nice soil, you can see looking at this. It's been soloed all ready for the winter. These, what you can see, is barley volunteers. It's come out the back of the combine. Can't see any blackgrass here though yet. There's some up near the main road up that other end where it's greener, but can't see anything here. I've just arrived up at the heath in the beans. These are the baked beans, this part of the field of variety. Eric's just arrived from Warwick Uni. University. Eric's the plant breeder of these. Hopefully we're going to get them combined. Today's Tuesday. We didn't get them done yesterday, they were just too wet, but there's a lot of fat hen, a lot of weeds here. You can see the greenery behind me over my shoulder, and this is the area where the seed was only about 40% germination, but we still had to put them in to try and get some seed back. But you'll see how gappy it is. So it's Tuesday afternoon, 5 o'clock, and the combine has arrived to cut the beans. This is one of my cousin's machines. They've come to do it for us. This is the same farm that takes our sugar beet into the factory as well, hauls our sugar beet. We couldn't quite get through the gap, we thought, with the header on, so we've just drawn it into the field and just putting it on in the corner of the field. The problem we've got is we've got quite a few losses, and it's because the crop's not thick enough to take it into the combine. You can see some of the pods on the floor here, some of the beans. We need to go back to having a companion crop with this, I think, to get more volume going into the combine. You can see the knife's really low to the floor. So I've come with the Manitou and the big bucket, because I think it'll all go in here. This bucket will hold about 3.5 tons of these beans. So we'll see if it all goes in. It's Thursday morning, lovely calm day at the moment, but I've just seen the weather forecast and just got one of our Sandcrop weather stations there. Just seen the weather forecast on the television, and it's not good. There's another one of these storms coming across. Can't remember what they call this one, but a huge amount of wind and some rain as well. And it's the wind that really bothers me because of spraying. We haven't started drilling yet on purpose, because of the blackgrass coming through. It's been so dry, there's still blackgrass coming through, and so it's always one of those things. How late do you dare leave it? Well, for us, with all our blackgrass control we've been doing over the years, when we had a huge amount of blackgrass, we didn't get the drill out the shed until October the 25th, and all this October drilling for losers, I actually completely disagree. October drilling's for winners, because that's what really deals with the blackgrass, and that's what's worked for us. So, and if you don't get the crop in because the weather closes in, you just put it into spring barley, because spring barley for us has always been the best crop by a mile to help deal with the blackgrass. So I've got all the fields to spray with Roundup. If it's going to be windy, we can't spray. And then if it comes a lot of rain and we can't drill, now the dilemma is there's black grass and there's weeds and generally everything coming through the soil all the time now. And if we spray now and drill tomorrow, because you can drill within 24 hours of spraying, Roundup only needs that length of time to get into the plant. But if we spray now and we can't drill for a week because of rain or various things, then you'll have, between spraying and drilling, there'll be more black grass and more weeds come through the surface. So you might have to spray again. So it's always a bit of a dilemma on how far in front do you spray, but keeping in mind and keeping an eye on the weather forecast as well. But this next week we will be drilling, hopefully getting going, and I've got Agri coming in the next day or so to get all the seed cleaned and treated, put into bags, all ready for drilling. And I've got the Farmers Weekly Awards in London tonight, Thursday night, and hope to have seen some of you there. By the time you see this, it'll be Sunday, so hope to have seen some of you there. And I didn't go to the case factory in Austria this week. I was going to go, but they'd got the times of the flights wrong. When I was first invited about 6 weeks ago, I was told that the return flight would be back into London about 4 or 5 o'clock at the latest. And bearing in mind I've got the Farmers Weekly Awards tonight, that I could have just about made that, but the return flight doesn't get into Heathrow till about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight, and that is just way too late. Yeah, here's our weather station here. I'll just go up to it and just show you one of the two of the things that we've got with that, because it's in a great location here. So this is a whole network of weather stations, and you can see Sencrop are the company, and I've got a whole load of these set up on my phone from neighbours and friends around the country, so you can see where the weather's coming from. And this one is picking up wind speed and the wind direction at the moment. You can see there, that's where the wind's coming from. And then this here is the rain, and it's linked, you can see there, it's linked with the aerial there to the satellites. We've got wind, precipitation, we've got soil temperature as well. There's a probe that goes down into the ground, into the soil, so we get soil temperature as well, and forecasts linked into their system, their network. And there's a battery in there that operates it as well, that's replaced about once a year. So that is the Sencrop weather station, works really well. Just going back to this drilling time period and October drilling, I do appreciate if you've a huge area to get in the ground, you can't do it all in October. But I think you can still maybe plan your fields a bit and keep your worst fields back. But yeah, I do get that when you have a huge area to plant, you have to start some point, and leaving it all till October is a huge risk. I've just come to another group of fields, still at the back of the main farm, and this block of land has been in continuous wheat for a while now, and you can just see it is starting to green up there. So that is wheat that's come out the back of the combine, that is. And you can see the lines here. That's because Tom subsoiled this headland and loosened it deep, because it's been stood in water and been compacted for a year or two. So with it being a dry year this year, it's an ideal chance to have a bit of a reset and get some of these problem areas done. So, but you can see we're not going to do any more to this. The drill will fetch all this up. You can see these lumps here. That one just crumbles. Still dry. You see it's still dry underneath there, but that will crumble when you get the heavy drill in there and move that, as these sort of lumps will. And all this, look at that, just falls apart. All that will just level out there with the drill and the front tines. But there we go, there's black grass there, and that is wheat. Most of this you can see here is wheat. The real thin spindly ones are black grass, but you can just see now how much is coming here. So I think this one, probably I ought to maybe come in with a spray. You can see there's one just coming through the ground there, not very tall. This is about one of our heaviest fields actually on the farm for clay content. It's about 55% clay, 30% silt, and then only 15% sand, so really difficult if it gets wet. So we're all glammed up. Well, you are.
Very. Glad you noticed.
It's 5:30 Thursday evening. I haven't had a drink yet. We're just about to head to the bar, meet everybody else. We're staying at the Thistle Hotel at Marble Arch, and then we've got the awards are at to go over the house. 5-minute walk. Are you going to be right in
10
your
minutes.
heels?
Well, I'm going to have to be, or you'll have to give me a piggyback, Andrew.
Yeah, so there we go. So you know what these women are like. They say, all these heels, these shoes are lovely, and 2 hours later they have to wear trainers because they can't stand it. Is that going to be you?
No, because I can't. I've got nothing to put the trainers in. There's nowhere I can fit them.
Brilliant. Everybody coming down from the bar now. Just had our photo taken in front of Joe. So these are, Ollie, Charlotte, Rhonda. So these are all the finalists for all the categories this year. Getting ready to have the photo taken. So lots of photographs being taken at the minute by the photographers. All the guests in front of this Farmers Weekly thing here and in front of the boards around the corner there, through there. I'll just show you behind in a second what it looks like. This is the great room before anybody gets sat down at the tables. There's the stage at the front. Not quite sure who the famous compere will be, but they always have Alan, is it Dedico? Meals always fantastic here. There's 1,200 people here and the food is just always piping hot and very good quality. Everywhere's starting to empty upstairs now. Down in the great room, a lot of the tables are full. People are mingling about going to the tables.
Very warm welcome to the Grosvenor House Park Lane, and of course this, the Farmers Weekly 2025 Award!
Easily surprised by the weather, but many have had their worst drought in years. And the prosperity enjoyed by some has not been spread evenly across the whole sector. I have written a few times in the past year about how, as editor, I feel like I'm on the rack. Getting tugged on one arm by the optimists telling me to do more to reflect their buoyant mood, and getting tugged on the other by those who have real concerns about the future of our industry. What we try hard to do at Farmers Weekly is make voices heard on both sides of the many debates that take place under our banner. And in a world with an awful lot of shouting, I think there's a real value in that. We are a community of very different people united by a job description. And we need to keep talking even when we disagree. That is why I'm happy to say that the way in which the Treasury has gone about reforming inheritance tax is stupid, ignorant, and harmful. More power to everyone in this room and beyond who is working to peacefully persuade politicians of the error of their ways. Right, that is quite enough politics. This is a party. And I'm enormously grateful to everyone who's helped support this year's competition. A huge thank you to our headline sponsor, Agravista, and all of the category sponsors on the screen behind me. Thank you also to all of the sponsors who've helped make tonight's market.
Fillet steak, look at that.
Touching hands when you're reaching out, and you're touching me.
As it says, celebrating Britain's farmers, because damn it, no one else will. Farming, the second oldest profession. Since the dawn of time, man has been hunting, gathering, filling in grant applications. There are 1,200 people here tonight. 1,200 people, all quite invisible to the British government. There was supposed to be 1,500, but that grant closed when it ran out of money. We're delighted to have a number of very special guests here this evening. Industry leaders, heads of associations. We were hoping to get the new Secretary of State and maybe a minister or two from DEFRA, but no, they couldn't be asked. It's hair wash night at DEFRA tonight. What we do have, though, and far more importantly, is we have a hefty sprinkling of farming's superstars. You're the hard, stubborn bastards, the people who won't take no for an answer, unless the question was, do you want another 4 years of Keir Starmer? But that is why these awards matter. They matter because you matter. Because British farming matters. And may I just say, it's very good to see a healthy mix of men and women. Not so many children, which is a shame. So much harder to clean inside a combine these days. Now, you don't need me to tell you that this year has been a calamitous year for farming. A year of drought, following on from last year's washout. This inheritance tax spelling doom for the small family farms that are the lifeblood of our farming communities. We've got a new Secretary of State. I mean, for God's sake, we've now had 10 in 10 years. We are going through them like Leonardo DiCaprio through Girlfriends. And they're about as experienced. But we have other challenges too. We have blue tongue in sheep, we have bird flu, we have TB in cattle, all continuing to plague our sector. 2025 has been a disaster. And actually, do you know, it's not all bad. It's not all bad. Let us celebrate the positives tonight. We have to look quite carefully for them, but beef and lamb prices are at an all-time high, for example. So yes, we should be able to spot who the corn farmers are later. They'll be the ones getting the taxis home. The corn farmers will be the ones driving them. And if you've covered your acres in solar panels, then I guess you're staying in the penthouse upstairs and keeping very quiet about it. But I look around this room and I see huge resilience. I see people finding ways to support each other, to innovate, to keep going. When they change BPS into SFI, that's absolutely fine. If that means you have to learn about IPM2s and WTF7s, you take it on the chin. And when those get shut down because there's no money, you just keep going. You look for the next acronym. And yes, I look out and I see the spirit of farming refusing to be crushed. And that is a big win. Manchester United fans, I'll explain what that is later. Guess by now. But please, can you confirm, Sean, who takes this year's Lifetime Achievement Award?
And the winner is Margaret Dalton.
Our next award of the evening.
We can't invest. The family farm tax has sapped confidence right out of the industry. We fear for the elderly, the vulnerable members of our community, and for the future of our farms. And as this tax is a tax on business assets, it's sapping out the capital from the farms that we sorely need to invest. Conversation by conversation, we're making progress in Parliament. But the unanimous view of all of the English and Welsh NFU office holders and directors is that there's been one standout campaigner. Knowing his name will generate a huge cheer of thanks, because the winning of the Farming Champion of the Year 2025 is the chair of the EFRA Select Committee, MP for Orkney and Shetland, a great friend of the farming industry, Alistair Carmichael.
So the beans here are behind me. I put them on the floor after we harvested them and then blow the fans through them. I'll just turn my phone around and the camera around here so you can see what we've done. But it's worked a treat actually in taking the moisture out of the fat hen and also the seed and also the bean seed as well. And I'll just show you what we've done here, how we've done it. So there is some malting barley that is due to go this February, and that is on a contract, but it's slightly high nitrogen. But I've got some barley across the other side of the tunnel over there, just where you saw on the intro, that is from last year, that's lower nitrogens. Hopefully if I blend it, it might work, but we'll see. Anyway, these are the beans, and you can just see the black seed amongst it is the fat hen weed seed. But when you look here now, if you look at that, you can see there, that black, that's fat hen seed, but it's dry now, which it wasn't when we combined it. But we've had air going through it. But what I've done, so this is the drying floor. So this is what it's like. These are the gaps underneath. So the fans are at that end. They blow air down the tunnel. Actually, let me just go in here and see. So this is the air tunnel. This is the trap door at the end you can get in. If I just go in here. So the fans are at that end, which is the end of where the house and the office is. Now the air would fill all in this tunnel, and then you've got slides that go under the floor here that let the air through, if you lift those up. So I've got those lifted up underneath here. You can just see, you can just drop those down. Do that. That will drop down there and block that off. But when we have it like that, the air can go underneath, and then there you see they're closed down, whereas that's open. So the air would go under the floor, but it would go right to the end of the shed. So what we've done is just lifted up a section of the floor, shoved some bags underneath, just weighted them with bricks. If I can just get one of those out so you can see. And I'll just show you there. There's a bag stuffed up there that will stop the airflow coming out. So the air then is forced up through the crop. I've put Hessian down here and just nailed some lats on it, and then that will stop the weed seed dropping through and blocking the floor grills up there. So we've blown the air and it's dried it a treat, dried the beans, dried the weed seed. So we've got this machine coming next week to take some of this weed seed out. Or not take some of it out, take all of it out. Then we'll be left with pure seed to drill next year. So yeah, I think we've got to just fine tune this a bit yet, but thank you very much to my cousins who came. They're the ones who do the beet haulage for us, and they came with their combine to harvest these this last week. So thanks for that. And it's got probably, well, I don't know, maybe 60% of them, but they were really low to the floor again. But we've obviously got to get them harvesting a bit earlier if we can and get them planted earlier. But as I said a bit ago, the dry spring didn't help matters. But we've got the other two varieties to do, which hopefully we'll be doing them this week. So stay tuned next week for that. Anyway, that is it for this Sunday's update. Thanks ever so much for watching. Hope everybody's going to have a good week. Weather-wise, I think it is settling down a bit after today. And then hopefully we'll all get drilling and get some sugar beet out in the ground as well. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.